Dear Void, I never really adopted the panic about the pro-Arab colonialists movement. I adopted the anger, some would say the rage, but not the panic. Because you see, Qatar, Hamas, the BBC, all the Islamist groups, they made a fatal error in their plan. On the surface, the plan is simple enough. They thought they understood the West. They thought they understood the youth of the West. They realized that at least half of them are made up of really, 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 really stupid people. Which is why postmodernism became so popular in the West. The idea that my feelings, my truth, is more important than the actual truth. I've said it before. I've been advocating for Israel for 20 years now, and a lot of us who have been doing that felt the differences in cultures when talking to Westerners and when talking to Arabs, for example. Which is ironic because Arabs are exposed to significantly larger volume of anti-Semitic propaganda. If you're an Arab, it's everywhere and it's constant and it's all around you since childhood. And yet, when I talk to Arabs, in 70% of the time, when they realize that they believed false history, because I present them with facts, they change tone. They ask questions. And that almost never happens with a Westerner. Not with a hostile Westerner, at least. If it starts hostile, it will end hostile. The Westerners who care about facts are already on our side, or are not hostile when we talk to them. They may ask questions, they may even argue, but they won't be hostile. But the pro-anti-Semitism crowd, the pro-Islamists and Arab colonialism of Judea and the West, they are so fucking gone. They tell you one thing, you disprove it, they go to another thing, you disprove that, they go back to the first thing you've already disproven. There's no point in giving them facts because it's not about facts. It's about the vibe. It's about the social status. It's about the feelings. That's what the Islamists realized. All they needed to do is get on the right vibe and nothing will matter. These morons will just lap it up. So they started pushing the genocide blood libel all the way back in 2007, which makes it the slowest and most inefficient genocide in the history of the world. Of course, they knew it's complete bullshit, but they realized that if they just repeat it for 20 years, and if they mix it up with things that create the right vibe for it, like environmental issues or other social issues they couldn't give two shits about, but they know or they think that the West cares about, then Westerners will just accept it as true eventually. And it worked. And it seemed brilliant. But it also contains the fatal flaw. And that is that 100% of the people who believe the Islamist narrative are either extremely stupid, extremely young, extremely evil, or all of the above. And that means that it's a temporary issue. Most Westerners are not extremely evil, so that's not a very good target audience. And as for the stupid kids of today will grow up. None of them will be a brilliant adult, but many of them will become, not stupid enough to believe obvious lies like the genocide blood libel, 20 years of genocide that magically makes the population grow. Or that the Arabs who adopted the Roman name for the area are the natives, and the Jews who get their name from the original name of the area, Judea, are the colonialists. These kids will not be the new leaders of the free world when they grow up. They are not smart enough for that. So don't worry about that. Some will have decent jobs or be business owners. Others will be in dead-end jobs for most of their lives. All in all, below average to average, these are not extraordinary people. You can't be sheep and believe in the most ridiculous, moronic, idiotic things and then grow up to become impressive. It's just not how it works. You've never met a flat earther that made a scientific breakthrough, have you? And this is what these kids are, basically. So they'll grow up, they'll abandon the nonsense they believed in, their kids will be embarrassed of them. I'm telling you, those who were smart enough to hide their faces in all of those genocidal hate marches will be so happy they did that because they would be able to lie to their kids and pretend they weren't there. And speaking of kids, that's another thing. The Islamists don't understand that, You made hating Jews and wanting a second Holocaust cool for now in the West, but it's a fad. Now, before Zionism in Israel, that fad would have saw us put on trains again, but now we have self-determination and we can defend ourselves, so it's not that scary, is it? And as with all fads, it will disappear. In fact, we're starting to see the cracks already. Every day I see new videos from influencers saying I was a pro-Palestinian but I was tricked, or how I found out that the pro-Palestinian movement is a cult. And this will spread more and more. Pro-Islamism will become the lame, idiotic, last year fashion. So you see, the point is, it's going to fail, whether we fight it or not, because they chose for their target audience morons, children, and evil fucks. Not exactly the pillars of Western society. And by the way, just so we understand each other, it's not about right-wing versus left. Yes, most people who support Islamism in the West are on the left, but not all leftists support Islamism. No, they didn't target the left. They targeted specifically morons, children, and evil fucks. Now, you want to meet the big scary anti-Semites who will dismantle Israel? Go no farther than my comment section. Now, to be honest, I tend to ban a lot of them because I just don't see the point of letting them keep their stupidity and filth beneath my videos. It's not like they matter. It's not like you can reason with them. So what's the point? So I just ban them, but I do sometimes take a screenshot so I could share the glorious stupidity with all of my favorite void dwellers. And oh boy, the stupidity is strong with them. Check out our first candidate for the dumbest commenter on YouTube award. A kid that calls himself Dog Killer X29. So right from the start, you know that you are in the presence of a thinker. And that cliche, I'm 14 years old but I'm deep anime avatar, is really the cherry on top, isn't it? But seriously, this kid will break your heart if you are an American teacher. He starts by just spewing the normal things they picked up from TikTok about Israel being an ethno-state. An ethno-state. You'll soon see why it doesn't matter to him that that's not an actual word. He's not really, let's say, this kid is not really into words. But anyway, I first replied with facts. Why? Because I wanted to see the response just for this video actually. So I told him, Israel has 24% Arabs who are completely equal, members of parliament, ministers, celebrities, and even Arabic has a special status in Israel, and every official communication has to be made in both Hebrew and Arabic by law. Meanwhile, you have 22 Arab ethno-states that do not give citizenship to anyone who is not Arab, no matter how long you live there, ethnically cleanse the Jews after 1948 in the Jewish Nakba or Ason, and in Saudi Arabia, they go as far as to have separate roads for Muslims and non-Muslims, which is nothing short of apartheid. So, does he reply by considering those facts or presenting counter-arguments, anything? No! He just behaves like a child and goes, "That's not true!" See, that's what I mean when I say these are toddlers. It will pass. This kid has no idea how to even argue yet, how to present an idea. He's basically just calling you names on the school's playground. These are the leaders of the future. Come on. But what really will break your heart as a teacher is that this kid then argues with someone else and he says that he doesn't understand why Zionists always leave lines after every statement. It took me a moment to understand what he's talking about. I was like, leave lines? And then it hit me. Paragraphs. This idiot is referring to paragraphs. He never saw paragraphs. You know, he never read enough text that was too long that had to be cut into paragraphs to make it easier for everybody to read. Are we on the same page here? The concept of paragraphs is foreign to this kid. How the fuck did he even graduate from elementary school? Seriously, Americans, what the fuck is going on with your education system? If you have teenagers who don't fucking recognize the concept of paragraphs, you need to start rioting about the situation in your schools. And they are all this stupid. They have no idea what an argument is, what a debate is. They literally don't understand the meaning of those words. Look at this next kid, another one with an anime avatar, of course. This one calls himself Elf Felix. And he commented on my pro-Palestinianism is Nazism video. And his comment is simply, "No, it's not, end of discussion." Now, at first I thought what was funny about this is the very condescending postmodern Western attitude of, "I just said it and therefore it's true and that's it, nothing more is required of me." But no, check out his next reply. "You didn't even try to debunk me." I didn't try to debunk. No, it's not. Okay? Everybody is on the same page here. This kid doesn't just think his feelings are enough to set reality. Oh no. He thinks they are a valid argument. No, it's not. That's the argument. And now it rests on me to debunk the undisputed fact that no, it's not. And we're saying that what? That this kid is the next president? Come on. I somehow don't see that happening. And it's not just Americans. This next one is fragesticolos, I don't know, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. And I think he's from the UK by looking at his channel. And he starts by telling me, bro, because that's how everybody talks now. They are all bros. I know they think it makes them cool and edgy or something, but all I hear is those Russian guys from the show for Hawkeye on Disney Plus. Anyway, so he starts by telling me, "Bro, you don't know nothing about the conflict, bro!" Which is a classic white Westerner thing to say. Me, the Jew with 7 family generations living in the land of Israel, even from before the state even existed, who grew up in this conflict, I know nothing about it. This snotty kid from the UK who watched an entire TikTok on the subject, he will educate me. And when I pointed that out to him, his reply shouldn't have, but it did kind of surprise me. He was like, "Why don't you debate me?" Debate what? The guy just said, "You know nothing," and he thinks that's the beginning of a debate. So I tried to help. I explained how an actual debate would go, how he would need to actually address an argument or evidence I gave in the video and disprove them with well-put arguments of his own. But no, the kid said that he wanted me to properly debate him, not in a YouTube comment. I mean, what? He expected us to exchange phone numbers? He wanted me to come to his house for a dinner party? This guy is not like a YouTuber. He didn't say, "Come on my show and debate me." Bro! No, he's like, debate me properly. Debate me properly. And when I replied that this is an amazing comment, he doubled down and said that I'm really trying not to debate him. This kid has no idea where he is, what the world is like, and what the words even mean. That's what I think. I think that he doesn't know what the terminology even means. And that's why you can find tons of videos online of these morons in the hate marches who are asked about the conflict and what they are actually marching for. And they will give you slogans, but if you ask them for details, they get confused. Like when you ask them, from the river to the sea, okay, which sea? You wouldn't believe how many, you can check it by the way, you can just look for it on YouTube. You wouldn't believe how many of them say the Black Sea. And this is why, what we're seeing here in my comment section, because it's all idiots and children. They are just following a fad. They're following slogans that they picked up from TikTok. Look at this dum-dum. Of course, another one with an anime avatar. This one calls himself Manrat. And Manrat, but the avatar is kind of pink. I don't know. Mixed messages there. But I know these days, I shouldn't assume the gender or something like that. Anyway, Manrat thinks that there is no connection between Israel and Judaism. Now, this is really funny to me because I know the trope that he's trying to repeat, that the TikToker told him. In anti-Semitic circles, it's part of the strategy to pretend that Israel does not represent all Jews, and therefore hating Israelis is okay and it's not anti-Semitic. I mean, you have to be brain dead to begin with to fall for that narrative as well, but this man-rat actually phrased the premise incorrectly, saying there's no connection between Israel and Judaism. And when I pointed out that it's fucking retarded to say that the country named after the ancient Jewish kingdom, which is the only Jewish country in the world, founded by Jews, and is in Judea, the homeland and place of origins of the Jews, has nothing to do with Judaism, this kid, of course, responded by, yeah, that makes it anti-Semitic, with laughing emojis. So you see, this is the kind of response you get from a first-generation AI. He doesn't understand the trope he's supposed to follow. He doesn't understand its meaning. He just repeats an approximation of it. It's like I say, these kids are vacant heads. They have no idea what the topic is. They have no idea what the terminology means. They don't even know what paragraphs are, what is a debate, how to properly argue. They are just following a fad from TikTok. It has the same emotional impact as collecting Pokemon cards at that age. They will grow out of it eventually. And even if they don't, they're not smart enough to be important or make any difference. And then you have the truly evil. The people who are just anti-Semites and use the conflict and the cool atmosphere the Islamists gave anti-Semitism to air their evil in public. And those people really should be on all the lists. Because let me just tell you right now, there's no such thing as someone who is only an evil bastard about one thing. There's no such thing as a guy who beats his wife, but he's kind to everyone else and never cheats or lie or does anything else that is immoral. No. So these people are not the kind of people you want on your roads. You don't want to come across them in your supermarket. Trust me. You guys really need to start taking care of these animals. For example, when I made a video about an Israeli teenage girl brutally stabbed to death by a terrorist in front of her parents, this waste of space, who calls himself Based Acid Fox, decided the most appropriate response is, who gives a fuck? Now, if you look at this guy's channel, you see that he's an attention-seeking edgelord, like many of these morons. But that doesn't make them less of animalistic or dangerous, by the way. Attention-seeking edgelord was also the guy that, shut up the theater during the Batman movie. So, you should pay attention to these people. But then you have also people who seem like normal or something, like this Danioa or Daia or whatever the fuck I'm supposed to say that name, who just proudly says she's anti-Semitic. And you have Luke from the Netherlands who shows support for Hitler. He should be on a list too. And you have someone hiding behind the nickname The Good Old Days who specifically says what all pro-Islamists want, another Holocaust. Oh, and you Christians who keep telling me, no, it's not coming from Christianity. Christians are not anti-Semitic anymore, blah, 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 blah. Well, remember that video about the teenager who was brutally murdered for being Jewish? One of your guys who called themselves Calvin neighbors left this comment where they refer to the passage in the New Testament traditionally interpreted as Jesus saying that Jews are the sons of the devil. So they basically justifying the murder of a teenage girl with Christian anti-Semitism. And when I asked about it, then they stayed silent. I know it's not exactly the theme of this video, but yeah, I get a lot of these comments as well. Just so you guys know. Anyway, I had many more examples, some that I even promised specifically that I will use, but to be honest, this video is simply too long and the point is made. The Arab colonizers and Islamists miscalculated. They carried their entire thing on the backs of morons, inbreds, children, and bastards. And that's why they'll lose. That's why in the coming years we will see a shift and the entire Palestinian narrative will be rejected. So thank you, haters. for being dumbasses.